Welcome to the Awaken Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Nancy Walters. Get ready to create magic and miracles as you lean into your heart's desires. I believe not only does the heart want what it wants, but it knows. This show is a weekly deep dive into what it means to live from an awakened heart. I'll be sharing inspiring stories and real conversations with people just like you, who have turned the ordinary into the extraordinary. My mission is to show you how you too can be connected and heart-centered in every area of your life. Your journey to aligning with more love, more joy, and your wildest dreams come true starts now. Hey, hello there, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Awaken Heart Podcast. And as I'm recording this, I am in home heaven right now. It is super rainy here in Portland, and literally we're getting deluged with a cat and dog rain type situation. Too bad it's not raining men. Ain't quite raining men, but it's nice to be inside with nowhere to go except in this room with you and my microphone. Today's episode is a continuation of what I talked about last week, which was my first night of my ayahuasca journey, which I did almost 2 years ago, which was actually pretty perfect because it was just before all this craziness started happening with the lockdowns and the virus and the pandemic and the awakening and all that stuff. So it was like perfectly timed. This time I am doing it again. I will share that. And that's why I thought this is a really good time to release these episodes regarding the 2 journeys I did the first time. As I am fully awake now, I have gone through the depths of hell through the awakening and processed all the anger and the shock and the fear and all those emotions. And now I'm back into a really good place as far as looking at the higher perspective of all that is going on right now and knowing that I'm here and what my purpose is, and to really help others to do the same thing. So if you hadn't had a chance to listen to that episode, it was episode number 37 that I released last week. Go on over and check that out. That gives an introduction of what ayahuasca is and how it's used and what people experience during their ayahuasca journeys and the benefits that people can get from doing it in the right environment. Like literally lives are transformed, sometimes instantaneously. Things are never the same afterwards. And I also shared my experience from the first night. My gosh, that was something else. So today I'm going to go into my second night, which was a completely different than the first night. So if you haven't listened to that already, head on over and listen to episode 37 and then come back to this one. So without further ado, sit back, listen, relax, and here we go. The second night came upon us after spending a day in reflection and walking on the beach. We were in Lincoln City. It was January. It was pretty cold out and windy as heck, but it was absolutely beautiful. And the perfect environment to do a lot of self-reflection. I wasn't sure I wanted to do it again. I did a lot of soul searching that day and looked a little more into ayahuasca. You know, I did my research. I looked up other people's experiences. I learned more about the medicine and the history and all that stuff. I am a very cerebral person, and the more I understand something, the better I am able to trust. There's no way I could stand another night like I had the night before. It was torturous and it went on forever. I mean, by the time I finally had surrendered and was feeling bliss, the ceremony was over. So I knew I needed to surrender much, much more. So that self-reflection and that introspection during the day really helped me when it was time for the ceremony to begin. I arrived at the ceremony with everyone in anticipatory silence, and I sat down on my bed ready to have a different experience. Before the medicine was handed out, I asked, "Mama, show me who I've become and be gentle with me." I calmly breathed and pictured myself in one of my favorite places, Tulum. It was nighttime in Tulum, and I could feel the warm breeze on my face, the humidity, hear the ocean waves against the shore. The stars were out, and there was magic in the air. If you have ever spent time in Tulum, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Absolute magic. As the ceremony progressed, again we were called up one by one. When it was my turn, my heart was hammering as the medicine was prayed over and then handed over to me. I bowed my head in gratitude and drank it down. That thick, sticky, sweet carburetor oil concoction. Even now, it makes me shudder, and I am about to do it again. Hopefully it won't be that awful. I went back to my pad and we were all told to have a beautiful evening. And as the candle was blown out, I closed my eyes and sat in silence, waiting. Having just done it the night before, I knew what was ahead of me as far as the ceremony, but what lay ahead as far as the experience was the complete unknown, but I surrendered to it. I did not want a repetition of the night before, so I was in a state of allowing and receptive to whatever was about to happen. Whatever that was, just be gentle. That was my mantra as I began to feel the medicine begin to work. I laid down. It was interesting as I lay there with my eyes closed. I could see everything, the shadows in the room, the fireplace I was laying by, our shaman singing. I couldn't tell if my eyes were open or closed, but when I opened them, I saw the slit in the curtain and the luminescence of the night sky behind it. My eyes were closed and I could see. I had to keep rechecking that a few times just to make sure. Like literally, my eyes were closed and I could see the entire room. I could see the shadows. I could see the shaman. I saw everything. It was so trippy and so surreal. The geometric shapes appeared like a code and a pattern of information I could not quite grasp the meaning of. The key to the universe, intelligence beyond my conscious understanding. And as those changing patterns undulated behind my eyes, I was thanking the heavens that this night was much different, actually quite pleasant. And then came the kaleidoscope in vivid animation, swooping, swirling, morphing and changing, undulating and spiraling from one to the next. Like, I couldn't stay in one place very long. Like literally my mind was all over the place, and actually like cartoons. Like there was actually like a cartoon animation behind my eyes along with the kaleidoscope. At first it was pretty entertaining, the display. It kept changing from one thing to the next, and I was carried along with it. But the Icaros that was sung, and again, the Icaros are the songs that the shamans use to, there's a purpose behind the songs. So they use the Icaros to bring you deeper and to change the tempo. It's like a dance. The Icaros that were sung took me deeper, driving one color pattern into the next with no control. It was just all over the place, and I began to feel claustrophobic, and then panic set in. Oh shit, it's happening. Like if you think about some cartoon character with their hand on their face and like, oh no, it's happening. That was me. The medicine began making its way up my body to my head, which felt like it was going to explode. I'm like, I need an ambulance. Oh my gosh, I'm going to die. Take me to the hospital. Like I'm starting to like have a major claustrophobic panic attack. And while all laying pretty still with this animation going behind my eyes and all this stuff running up my body, I had to keep looking down at my body to make sure I was still there. And I felt constricted and I wanted to run away. And I thought, oh no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. But then a voice said, well, it's too late now. And then a gentle whispering telling me to relax. And I did. I breathed in, then slowly out, softening any resistance. I was in the room. I was safe. I had to keep reminding myself I was okay. It's okay. I'm okay. And again, I was under the covers because it was freezing cold in the room, whether it's the temperature of the room, because I'm sure the temperature changes because we are all like between worlds. I really feel like whatever energy is released into the room from each person that is, including the shamans that are voying between the veil, I think it lowers the temperature. But of course, my body temperature changed to freezing. That antifreeze went through my body again. The freezing icy cold overtook me like antifreeze, crystallizing my veins. Even though I had several blankets, a scarf, and a hat, I remembered to layer up more from the previous night because I was freaking cold. I was freezing. I pulled the edge of my sweater up over my head, not only to keep me warm, but to feel safe. Show me who I've become. Show me who I've become was my mantra. Memories of some distant ancient past began to come. Flash, flash, flash. I was shown the stars as home, pointing up to the sky. From Easter Island, pyramids of Egypt, beaches of Tulum, I was there, looking up the same star, the brightest of all, home. Then I was taken to Atlantis, home, and shown the same star. I'm like, really? And over and over and over again, star Atlantis home, star Atlantis home. So, okay, home. As crazy as that sounded, home. I wouldn't be showing this if it wasn't for a reason. As the medicine moved from my head to my chest, I thought, wow, ayahuasca is not for the faint of heart. This shit is painful. I experienced a lot of physical pain in my body as it had its way with me. Then she came, Mama Aya, to take care of me and help me through. Mama, why does it hurt so? She says, to clear away and to open you up. She was so gentle and so loving, cradling me, wiping my brow. Mama, show me, and she did. Flash, flash, flash. My relationships one by one, ones I have hurt and those who have hurt me. Mama, how do I overcome? She kept nurturing me and comforting me. Then she showed me my last relationship, and it felt like my heart was seized in a fist. Mama, it's so painful. She says, yes, love, to open you up. More memories. I was shown my mother giving birth to me. Then me being taken away before I could be held and placed in the nursery with the other newborns. Again, I was adopted. So I was shown my birth mother giving birth to me. I saw my birth mother at the glass looking down at me with love and longing, sorrowful she could not take care of me, that she never would. Flash. Me in some other life with a baby cradled in my arms. So much love, so soft, and smelling so sweet. Flash. Me giving birth again somewhere in a distant past. Holding my baby in my arms and precious moments before she was taken away and I bled out. So I saw myself. It felt like it was, I don't know, maybe the 12th century or some distant past. People were standing around me. I was holding this beautiful baby in my arms, and then I was taken above me, and I saw me bleed out and die, which happened to a lot of women during that time. They died during childbirth. They hemorrhaged. They didn't have the hospitals or doctors that we do today. For some reason, it wasn't terrifying. It wasn't traumatic. It's actually very, very beautiful. And I'm smiling as I'm thinking about that memory of, there was just so much love. I've never had kids myself. And in some other life, I had kids, and I had many kids. And I had so much love for these women that I was, and even my birth mother that had to give me up, and these babies. And so there's just so much love when I think about that. From those memories to more visions. And there I was, leading the masses. Queen. I saw myself in some ancient time, not even sure if it was the time in our known history on this planet or some far off galactic period timeline. But it kind of felt like it was more ancient Egypt, Incan, Mayan culture, something like that. But I don't even know if it was really of this planet, but it was kind of like that scene. And I was on top of some big platform or a pyramid type structure. There I was in this beautiful gold dress. It was open in the middle, shimmering liquid gold lame, dragging behind me on the ground, scepter in my hand, and thousands of people below me, regal, royal, and full of power. Stunned by this vision, I asked, Queen, Mama? Yes, dear Queen. Remember that. It's who you are. It is your destiny. At that point, she told me who I was and all I was to do and to trust. And I would ask, Mama, what about this? Or how about that? And she would show me. It felt so good to be with her. I wish I still remembered. I literally, everything about my life and where I was made sense in that moment. Everything. And there was a point in that moment I heard drama guy who was having troubles that night as well. So again, the drama guy he was the one that retched the first night. That took me totally out of my journey, and I became so torturously aware of every little thing that was happening in the room. And I was so afraid that he was going to throw up that night, which is the last thing I'd ever want to happen because I hate throwing up, even though throwing up and purging has a lot to do with an ayahuasca journey, but thankfully nobody did that night or this night either. But anyway, I heard drama guy. And so what happens during the ceremony is there's a period where the shamans prepare a second batch, a second dose. Several people go up one by one and receive it. Of course, I never did because I was like tripping balls always, or I was in just like bodily pain, or I was like, there's no way I could stand up, or even the thought of sipping some of it down, I couldn't stomach it. So as I was having my moment in this queen energy, I was totally Miss Queen, and I heard him tossing and turning and moaning and groaning. He came up and asked for more, and this is well past when the second dose had been offered. It had been offered much earlier, which of course, I didn't partake in. There was no way my body could have handled more, let alone my stomach, and to drink it again, yuck. Our guide told him, no man, it's too late. We are about to do the closing ceremony. And in my queen energy, I thought, oh, groveler, be gone with you. Scurry away. What? Not very peace and love and enlightenment, which I thought ayahuasca was all about. But hey, I'm a queen after all, so I rolled with it. Again, we had that beautiful closing ceremony and the chakapra and those angels' wings. I absolutely love that rattle. It's so soothing, and it was such a beautiful closing ceremony. And then the medicine began to wear off and my connection began to fade. I implored, Mama, don't go, don't leave me. How will I find you? She said, I am always here. You can ask for me anytime. And she pointed at my heart. Then she was gone. Yet still somehow with me, wrapping me in a pillowy cloud of love. I can still hear her voice and feel her with me. Anytime I call upon her, she is there. The ceremony ended and the lights were gently lit, and our guides began cutting up fruit and making tea. This time I did not run away from everyone and was happily content to just lay there and enjoy the fruit. Let me tell you, they were some of the best tasting apples, mangoes, and papayas I have ever tasted in my life. I ended up sleeping on my mat in our ceremonial space amongst everyone else and only moved down to my bed in the morning for another few hours of contented sleep. The next day, we got up, made a huge breakfast, and we shared our night. We always have a circle where we talk about what happened during the ceremony. And when I gave my Atlantis star experience, I could see they don't say anything, but I could see behind their eyes, like the surprise and shock is like, okay, this is what happened. So after that, and then we just all went home. And one of the important things after ayahuasca retreat or weekend, just as important as the ceremony, is there's an integration period after the experience. The medicine can stay in the body for 6 months, and yet it feels like it's intrinsically woven into the fabric. It felt like it in my being. I felt it. My life unfolded in a multitude of unexpected and magical ways. Everything kind of clicked into place of what I needed at the time. And I could see how the breadcrumbs I followed led me to where I am now, or where I was then, or where I am now. I couldn't understand it before, but I do now. And I was in complete awe and amazement. And now here we go again. At the time, I thought, would I do it again? I never say never. When the time is right and I am called, which I am being called now, I knew I would answer. For that time, after that experience, I was very grateful for the experience, lessons, and insights I received. And I felt I had the ability to learn how to access these higher states without the reliance of ingesting something to bring me there. And I was currently practicing becoming supernatural, which is like Joe Dispenza's work about accessing the quantum field. And it had a lot of, if anyone wants to look at it, it's amazing, where it gives like scientific medical information about what your body actually does during meditation. There's been brainwaves and scans. So I was working a lot with that. As we know now, I have been called and I'm answering it. And at that time, I thought, I don't know if I'll ever do it again. I mean, some people do it pretty regularly, and here I am, ready for it. The days that followed the ceremony, I took comfort in listening to the music that I heard during the ceremony. I took long walks in the forest and communing with nature and the trees, whose life force I literally had within me. So when you take Mama Aya, when you take ayahuasca, it's a plant medicine, and you're spiritually connected to all the plant life forms, and you literally feel it. I felt it going through my veins, and I'm excited about having that connection. Again, it never leaves you, but it's very, very prevalent right after the ceremony and just the weeks and the months following it. Now, I don't know if you're curious. Maybe you're somebody that's already done ayahuasca before, or you're thinking about it. It's not something that you can decide to do, I don't think, just from a mind standpoint. You got to listen to your heart. And when you're ready, it calls to you. Like when you're ready, like the teacher appears. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. It's very prevalent. And just make sure to do your own research and make sure that it's accredited and that the people that are going to be leading you through this ceremony have done it many times before and actually have worked with the plant medicine for a very, very long time. It's really good to do it with shamans and real healers and not charlatans. There's a lot of those out there, so be aware. Another thing to consider is these healers are going to be walking between worlds with you. They need to create this safe container for you to be in, because when you're out of your body or wherever you're at during the journey, you're not going to wander off. You're not going to injure yourself, fall off a cliff. They're going to make sure that you have the proper dosages administered to you, and they're controlling or working with the energy in the room because, there's a lot of demons. There's a lot of negative energy that can be released. So they need to know how to work with that. Ayahuasca is the mother of all plant medicines. It's sacred and should only be treated as such, with highly trained healers, curandos, and shamans leading and guiding you. Choose wisely and prepare yourself accordingly, and be open to whatever she has to show you. And there you go, folks. There is my experience with ayahuasca. In the next podcast, I will talk about what is happening on this next one after I give myself a little bit of time to fully integrate with the medicine and whatever it has showed me. So, who knows what's going to be next? Who am I going to be? Who am I to become? On the next episode of the Awaken Heart Podcast. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Awaken Heart Podcast. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, share it with a friend. And if you haven't already, head on over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe, rate, and review. If you have any comments, questions, or feedback, you can reach me at theawakenheartpodcast.com.